Hi, my name is Sanisha and I am the economist at Momentum Investments. Today I'd like to take the opportunity to talk to you about the political outlook, the binary political outcome that we as South Africans are facing. What does this mean for our economic outlook and how can we invest in these highly uncertain times? Now we know that the future is inherently uncertain, but it is even more so now, going into the ANC leadership battle that will be culminating at the end of the year in December. From the numerous outcomes that could materialize from here on out, we have distilled 3 economic scenarios that we think are plausible. All 3 of these scenarios highly depend on government's reaction to the credit rating downgrade to junk status that we saw in April earlier this year. In our positive scenario, which we've named the wake-up call, we see a pro-reformist or anti-corruption candidate becoming head of the ANC. They are likely to push through economic reform, sending growth higher, and then reinstilling confidence into the South African climate. We also believe that fiscal consolidation continues to take place, and as a result, we would see the rating agencies reversing South Africa's junk status rating within the next 5-year time horizon. However, we also have a negative scenario, and in this scenario, we see the economy sliding down the slippery slope. Here, we would have a Zuma preferred or Zuma appointed candidate becoming the head of the ANC. And it is likely that we would see factionist battles continue to take place. Here we would also have ANC breakaway parties and more coalition politics coming to the fore. This is likely to create economic instability and very muted confidence as growth grinds to a standstill. Here we would also expect fiscal erosion to take place, and as a result, debt is likely to tick higher. We would also expect that the Reserve Bank would have to raise interest rates in response to rising inflation, and this is likely the consequence of the rand following a much weaker path. Here, the rating agencies, under the slippery slope scenario, would continue to gradually downgrade South Africa's credit rating. But we also run a third scenario, a much lower probability or tail risk scenario, which we call all fall down. Now, in all fall down, we have a pro-corruption or anti-reform candidate that is victorious, and this candidate is likely to push through radical economic transformation in a very growth-unfriendly manner. As a result, growth would crater, investment climate would suffer, and the rand would soar to new levels. In this kind of environment, we would expect that the fiscal taps are opened wide and debt would continue to spiral out of control. It is here in this all fall down scenario that we would see the rating agencies aggressively downgrading South Africa's credit rating within the next 5-year time horizon. Now, across all 3 of these scenarios, we would expect that global assets tend to outperform in your slippery slope and the all fall down, given the impact of a weaker currency. So as a domestic investor, your rand returns would buffer, whereas your domestic asset classes would do much better in your wake-up call simply because domestic growth prospects look a lot better. We would also expect that South African equities do well across all 3 of these scenarios. In the wake-up call, even more so because of higher domestic growth prospects, but we would also see some benefit in your slippery slope as well as the all fall down, given South Africa's big reliance on the foreign earnings base. Now you can see that from these 3 economic outlooks, they are highly differentiated, very different economic outlooks, but this is why we believe that outcome-based investment philosophy is best suited, given its emphasis for diversified portfolios and not only solely concentrating on one particular economic outcome. This is especially so in an environment where the political and economic climate are so highly uncertain. Thank you for watching.